Hey everybody, Matt Childers with Complete Game. Today I want to introduce you to Adrian McCladdie, our team coordinator and recruiting coordinator here at Complete Game. Adrian, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
I know that we're going to be talking about several subjects during the recruiting process for athletes, and it's kind of a wide subject, but today I just kind of wanted to introduce you to everybody. You've done a lot of great things for the kids in our community and for our program. And we're excited about 2023. I know we just finished up some of our tryouts. And the first question I have for you is you know, we have, as of right now in our program, we have some seniors that are committed, junior, and also a sophomore. Just about how that process is different for every player and what parents and players should expect.
I think usually kids these days, they want to commit as soon as they get on the diamond. It usually doesn't happen like that.
Right.
All players are different than others. All recruiters recruit different than others. Everybody has the same dream: play college ball, play at the next level, play in the pros. But everybody takes a different path to get to the same location. But basically, how our process goes and what I want to send a message to the parents is: don't have your child panic. Don't put a lot of pressure on them. Let them enjoy the game. If they don't enjoy the game, they're probably not going to be successful and put on a good enough show to even put a good product for the college to see.
Absolutely.
So you gotta take the pressure off of the players and let them enjoy it first. It's not scholarship or die. You know, it's baseball. You know, if you enjoy it and you want to get to that level, it'll come. But it does come quicker than for others. So like you said, we do have a lot of 2023 seniors that have already been committed, have some juniors that have committed, and we also have sophomores. One's committed and another one should be coming soon.
Right.
But I don't want parents to think that if one child signs, they think that their child should be signing too, because that's also putting pressure on them.
Absolutely, and we know that the pressure that can come from individuals themselves, but also with social media these days, where players see other kids committing and putting it out there. And we really, you know, most of the players that do commit, the guys that are going into their senior season, you know, sometimes it happens at the end of their senior season.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there's an opportunity for a lot of players to play at different levels. As kids get older, the parents and the players seem to have a more realistic understanding of where they may fit in. And I know we can get into the transfer portal and from junior college, D3, D2, D1 players that play all across the board. You know, one thing that the connections that you have personally, I know a lot of us here at Complete Game do, but the reputation that we built with these college coaches, because in the industry, you know, we just tell it like it is. Adrian tells these coaches the truth. I hear it day in and day out from him. And you know, the respect that coaches tell me, how much they have for you and the communication, we just send that right to the parents and the players. So talk a little bit about, you know, the conversations we have with the players and the parents, letting them know, you know, the direct feedback that we get from coaches, whether they want to hear it or not. Sometimes that's how they can grow and get better.
Well, first, the parents usually they'll come and they'll ask, you know, what camp should my child go to?
Right, that's a huge one. Yeah.
You know, what advice, what do you think my child is? Is my child a D1 player? Is he a JUCO player? Is he a D2 player? NAIA D3? You know, it's tough to judge. Everything's about projectability now, especially the kids that are young.
Right.
Usually, I have a conversation with them, and I'll just let them know, again, be patient. Most of the colleges that I know, all the college coaches, and they host all these camps, I usually call the college coaches first. Let them know that we do have some guys coming in, and you know, if you can keep a close eye on them, and usually they do, and I get the feedback from the coaches, and I really just send it straight to the parents and let them know what they thought and whether they like it or not, because you know, we're not the ones signing these players. It's the college guys who are giving that scholarship money, and our job really is to just relay the message and go from there. And with the connections we have, you know, we're pretty much realistic as well on where this child should go or what camp this child should go to. And I usually just tell them straight up as well, whether they like it or not. And you know, it's actually good. You know, some like it, some don't.
Right.
But it helps at the end.
That's right. And you know, communicating with the college coaches and players, You know, we tell players and parents at the end of the day, coaches don't get kids signed, kids get themselves signed. So
Sure.
we just want to make sure we're putting them in an opportunity where they can be seen, and they can be seen the right way. Sometimes a lot of players may not be prepared, they may not be ready.
No.
And you have to have those conversations sometimes
Sure.
with parents and players. We want to make sure we put them in the situation where they can best succeed. And you know, I know this is a conversation like I talked about, we could talk about for hours. But it's important for our players and parents that are with our organization to understand. Well, I know we're going to have a meeting in December. We're going to talk about the developmental process, the recruiting process. You know, at the end of the day, we're always developing. We're always getting better. Until you're a Major League All-Star, you're always getting better. And that's something that, you know, we hear a lot. Guys come in here 13, 14 years old, and they think they know everything.
Sure.
The parents think they know everything. And it's not always easy, but, you know, baseball humbles us all. So I think sometimes that's the best way to improve is after you have been humbled. So just wanted you to touch on that a little bit about players continuing to work hard even after they commit. Them continuing to work hard because, you know, it never stops.
Oh, it never does. It never does. Especially when these kids, they come in their senior year. If they come in to their senior season committed, some of them get a little comfortable. Some of them, you know, have a little chip on their shoulder, but at the same time, you got to think you're still playing for that high school, and you're representing that organization that you're going to next, that institution. Real quick tips to athletes: you know, as soon as you sign, as soon as you commit, or as soon as you get some good feedback from coaches and they start following you, clean your social media up, clean it up, clean your Twitter up. Clean your Instagram, your Facebook. They look at all that stuff as well. Don't get too comfortable because you're signed. Don't get too comfortable at all, because as soon as you get on campus next August, you know, you're back to starting over. You know, you're going to be the freshman. You're going to be one of the youngest guys there. So it's easy to have that mentality where in college it's an actual job.
Right.
You know, you're getting paid to play. They're paying you tuition to play for them, and you got to handle it, or you know, you'll be gone quick as possible. So.
Absolutely, and different levels that we talk about. You know, and all the college baseball coaches will tell you that there's just not a ton of money when it comes to baseball scholarships as much as other sports. And really just having an opportunity is very hard to earn at all levels of baseball. And sometimes young parents come in here and they don't understand the talent that's at junior college. It's at Division III, it's at Division II. And there's great baseball all across the country. I know here locally there's a lot of great baseball, and they realize how hard it is. And you know, there not being as much money in baseball, the baseball coaches, they look at academics hard, they look at character hard, all of those things that they should. And you mentioned projectability. A lot of times when a kid commits, you know, that's not, they haven't reached their full potential yet. So the colleges are still evaluating them, still challenging them to do their best. So, you know, we know that, and we encourage kids and keep driving them to work hard. So real quick, I know we talked about them representing their high schools and playing hard. And sometimes we've touched on that. We've had the ability to establish great relationships with the high school coaches, now knowing that, you know, when you're playing for your high school, your job is to try to win a state championship. You're there to win at all costs. And we've actually had to challenge some of our players that or other kids that don't play for us, that if you think you're going to the gym at 8 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night and working hard, but you didn't do what your high school coach told you to do at 3 o'clock, then you're really not working hard. No. And colleges know that, and that's something that, you know, like it or not, sometimes kids and parents find that out when it's too late. So we tell them that early on, how to be a good teammate. And then there is a difference, you know, during the summer, doing showcase baseball, when they may get an opportunity to swing on a 3-0 pitch, to show that coach they can hit in a 3-1 count. There's a lot of things we can do, but it's not one or the other. We've been able to blend that together, and I think it really helps the parents and players understand, you know, some ways that they can help get recruited during the summer, along with high school ball during the spring. So. One other thing I'd like for you to touch on, Coach, and I know you, with the teams that you actually get to coach and be hands-on with, is, you know, the small things, the backing up bases, the things that the pitchers need, the things that if a college coach comes to watch you do, don't give them a reason to cross you off their list.
Sure.
You know, we got guys that have gone 3 for 3 and hit a double in the gap, and they thought they impressed the college coach, but by the way they didn't run the bases hard, they actually made a big bad impression. Those are things that just we can't communicate enough with the player, and we get that constant feedback from coaches. So just touch on that a little bit about how you challenge players to do their best and have full effort.
The full effort is the most part. I saw a coach at our SRP tournament this summer, and he literally watched one kid, and the kid literally went over. And the character the kid had, the drive that he had, he kept his team up. He was a leader. He hustled on and off the field. He actually watched the kid at the end of the game get his stuff, clean the dugout up, walk out, hug his mom, stuff like that. They watch the small stuff, not just, you get a double in the gap, you can go 3 for 3. Don't expect the college to say, okay, he's good enough to be signed. That's just one aspect of the game. Because they want character on their team. They don't want a player that that they're gonna have they're regretting at the end. And that's what they're trying to stay away from, because they're gonna look for stuff to cross you out more than to sign you.
Absolutely.
So just don't get crossed out off of one thing. Like you said, kid can go 3 for 3, and he won't hustle or show the bad attitude when he struck out the next tournament, and they're like, man, this kid got a bad attitude. I don't think we can deal with it.
While we're talking about it, let's just go ahead and dive into it real quick, because I mean, that same tournament, we saw a kid that actually hit a pop-up, right? But it was an SEC coach there that saw his bat speed, that saw his power on a flyout. Yeah. So, and that kid ended up signing with another SEC school. So they're professional evaluators.
Oh, yeah.
And we have parents all the time that tell us, little Johnny's hitting 700. And quite frankly, they're evaluating talent. And if you have 100 at-bats in college or pro ball, then you can have an average. But if you if you get 5 at-bats, you're not a 0 hitter, and you're not a 1,000 hitter. So we battle with that with parents, and that's where I think the trust comes in. You can have a great day and hit 3 balls hard and show a lot of your potential, and go 0 for that day. And you could also have 2 swing and bunt hits. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens to all of us. But therefore, there may be a different evaluation of talent. So the professional evaluators, which these college coaches are, we have that direct communication with them. So parents, don't come tell us your kid's hitting 600. We don't care. That's something that, but that's not communicated enough. And if there's a parent and they watch games on television, that's how the players are getting judged. During the recruiting process, that's not always accurate. But like I say, that kid hit a fly ball that day, but that coach knew that player had bat speed, he had power, just based on what he saw. So, kids keep working hard, and I'll tell you this, Coach, we talked a lot about coaches are supposed to tell a kid if they don't want to recruit them, right, or what they need to get better at. But we challenge players to continue to work hard, because that changes. It changes all the time. One thing that a lot of Division I coaches don't like now, I know we don't like it, is they do have to look at a kid that's in 8th grade or 9th grade and try to project him. And that's very, very difficult. Obviously, we're not going to be able to solve that problem right now, but as kids mature and develop, that's something that they really ask us about. They try to project and want to know. But if you're one of those kids and you're the 11th grade and it hasn't happened for you yet, we see it all the time. Kids are in 12th grade, they're throwing 5 miles an hour harder, they got more bat speed. They just continue to improve. So don't stop working if you're not getting recruited. That's something that we also have to really harp on a lot, because that's the majority of your players, right? The kids that have exceptional talent that are going to get recruited early, it doesn't always mean they're going to have more talent in 4 years. So a lot of the kids that continue to improve and continue to progress, touch on that real quick before we wrap it up, Coach, where we see guys that player developing in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and that 12th grade year, we're like, that's what I thought that kid could do. Now, he may not have the big-time offer right away. We've seen it where a kid may go to college and may have an opportunity to succeed wherever he's at, and if he wants to get drafted at the professional level, that comes from all walks of baseball.
Oh, yeah. So, well, really, if the kid is good at his 9th grade year and he's still good at his 12th grade year, a lot of schools really look at being consistent.
Right.
Is he consistent with the bat?
Right.
Is he, does he, he's always in the strike zone. He's getting outs. I talked to one scout last summer, and he was evaluating a kid in high school, and he said this kid finds a way to win the ball game, and that's what I like about him.
Right.
They find a way to win the game. He's on the mound, he's battling, he's getting his team up, but he finds a way to win a ball game. He doesn't throw the hardest, he's not the biggest, but he wins games. And that's another thing that they look at as well is the actual drive and the attitude he has to where we want this guy in our clubhouse next year.
Right.
They want that guy in the clubhouse.
Absolutely.
Because he can win a game. He can show that he can bring his tools that he has to the organization, any college, and make that school good right away and long term. So I think they look at as far as the long term stuff as well. Will this kid stay around? Will he like baseball in 3 years?
Right. Right.
They ask a lot of things about parents. How's his parents? How's his mom? How's his dad?
Right.
They watch for stuff like that, and so if a kid's being consistent, being real consistent, and he feels the pressure, he hadn't gotten signed, he hadn't gotten any looks. I mean, the worst thing you can do is quit. The worst thing you can do is stop. The worst thing you can do is put the pressure on yourself. Keep working hard. There is a home for you. There is a home. There's a lot of colleges in this area. There's a lot of colleges in the Southeast. There's a lot of levels. So don't try to, feel like you're not gonna get off because nobody's looking or nobody likes you. It takes the right day at the right time for the right person.
That's right.
And usually it's it usually comes just like that. Sometimes you gotta wait till March of your senior year, but there's always schools looking all the way year round.
They say the definition of luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So you got to keep preparing until that opportunity comes. We have kids all the time that may not want to come to a certain event. If there's going to be, say there's going to be 10 coaches there, that may not 10 schools there, but it may not be the school they want to go to. College coaches talk to each other. They communicate. They're going to take each other's word more than anybody else. There may be a college that all of a sudden has a need at third base, and they may call up another college that has 5 third basemen. Hey, what do you think about this kid? So we can't stress enough. We've seen it with players and parents where you can't turn it on and off as far as your work ethic. If you're, like you say, what they want to see, you can't just say, okay, this coach from this dream school of mine is here, I'm going to bust it hard today. But then other times they don't. That always shows up. And you don't have to fake it. If that's who you are every day and you're going hard about your business and you're playing hard, then it's going to show. And if you're not, it's going to show also. You can't fake it. You can't show it every now and then. The more we experience the feedback from coaches, it's good for us to relay that straight to the parents and the kids and let you know up front what it takes and what you need to do. Oh yeah, for sure. This is one of those deals. I had my last 4 or 5 guys that have committed and signed their letters yesterday. I can guarantee you the school that they're signing at probably wasn't the school that they wanted to go to in a freshman year. Absolutely. But they found a home. They realized that I want to play college ball and I want to get education. Is this the right fit for me? And they found the right fit, and that's what you got to look for too. Players is find the right fit. Just don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you come to me and say, hey coach, I want to play at Georgia Southern, or my dream school is to play at Young Harris, that's fine. That's fine, but you got to keep your options open, because the thing is, you want to play baseball, right? That's right.
You want to play college baseball. That's your dream, is to play college baseball. Right. You can't limit your options of just going to where you're going, and you can go to 100 of their camps. That's fine. Trust me, they see you. Right. They see you. Right. If they like you, they'll talk to you. They'll reach out to you. And it may not be this year. If you're going as a junior, they may not reach out to you till your senior year. Right. That's just how things are done in the recruiting process. It's sometimes a slow process. Sometimes it's quick. You wake up the next day, you got a phone call, and there's an offer right there. And next thing you know, this school's offering you, but they're in your dream school, and now you love that school because it's your first initial phone call from a coach that, so things change. Right. And we always encourage kids, sometimes they may think a school is their dream school, but once they go on campus, once they see the facilities and meet the coaches and see
the academics that school has to provide. Sometimes those things change, and we encourage kids to always go and visit colleges and do that. Coach, I was trying to think a few minutes ago, you were talking about how that it may change is where they're going to have an opportunity to play. You know, you're always competing. You're going to compete wherever you're at. That never ends. And I know what I was going to say, Coach, is because we're still in it, is what happened during the COVID year, right? Yep. There's still guys right now in college baseball that are getting that extra year. And it's hard to be patient as a player being recruited or as a parent, but these colleges, they're having to deal with that. And rightfully so. They need to take advantage of situations where there's a guy coming back for an extra year that's a veteran player and that can help the team more than an incoming freshman that maybe needs to be redshirted or maybe needs more development. So that has slowed down the recruiting process. And that's something that we could spend another hour talking about, but it's important to know that and to understand it. We have schools all the time that'll see a kid, they'll communicate with them, they don't offer them, and the kid and the parents think, well, that school doesn't like me. Yeah. They're not going to offer me. Where, you know, down the road, a year later, they do offer them. You know, you have to understand these schools, they just can't go out and offer anybody and everybody all the time. There's a lot that goes into it, who they have graduating, who they have coming back, who may get drafted, and those things change. They have some fifth-year players they're not sure coming back yet or not. Is it unfair to the high school player? It is. It's unfortunate, but it's a phase that we're getting through, and you just have to be willing to compete and see what happens. But that kind of hit home when you were talking about guys and opportunities that come their way.
Roster space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Roster space. That's what that's a big thing now. Is you know, if you're a first baseman and he probably likes you, but he probably got about 4 or 5 on the roster already.
Right.
And if none are graduating, you know, why would we go there when we got these 3 or 4 guys that still got 2 or 3 years?
Right.
So it's you know players you got to take consideration as, you know, a lot of these rosters are full, and they're carrying a lot of players.
Right.
And you know, so if you know, that's why I say, you know, expand your interests. You know, just don't put your eyes on 1 school, 2 schools. Just expand your interests.
And Coach, I know this is our passion, so we could talk about it all day. I don't know for the sake of the video if we need to wrap it up, but one more thing I was thinking about when you were talking is about coaches and expanding the interest as a player, is to make sure that you are trying to find a way to separate yourself from the pack. It's hard. It's hard. You know, to me, we talk about it. Pitchers, if you have a big jump in velocity, you can separate. Yeah. If you're left-handed, if you're submarine, if you do something that's different, as a hitter, you know, especially you talk about corner outfield, first and third, you got to hit and hit with power. You know, that's the way it is. And we know these college coaches know it, they tell us, but sometimes communicating that to new parents that come in, they need to understand that. So it's one of those things that, you know, it's harder to separate yourself on the field than it is to do something negative. And what I mean by that is, if you go 2 for 2 and the coach sees you and you have a bad attitude, or you strike out and you throw your helmet, these guys really, they take that into consideration where they don't want to see you anymore. There's just too many good baseball players out there to where they're really looking at your character. I feel so more than any other sport, right? We're biased to baseball. I feel so more that they have less scholarships, right? They don't want to bring a kid in that may be academic ineligible, you know, after the first semester because it's too late for them to go find a player. They want to know that a kid's going to work hard in the classroom. He's going to make good decisions. He's going to stay out of trouble. They know that everybody's not perfect, but those character traits are what we get asked more so than talent all the time. All the time. Just want to make sure if kids want to separate themselves, do everything you can right off the field. Because it's hard on the field. It's hard. And you do have to separate yourself there and let your talent show. But, you know, being a good teammate and your character, if you're not doing all those things, you can't separate yourself.
And that's a big key. And we talk about it all the time. We hear it all the time. I get phone calls all the time. You know, and I won't lie to a coach.
Right.
I won't.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna tell them straightforward. You know, if I feel a kid is a good high character guy, or if I feel like he struggles, I want to protect the kid, but I also we have to protect us as well. And a lot of colleges, they trust us.
Absolutely.
They trust our word. And
absolutely.
We want to keep that consistent as well. So just know it's these colleges, you know, it's 11.7, a lot of
right.
You know, they go on the scholarships. You know, they only have this many scholarships, and you got to think, one scholarship can be broken down for 3 players.
Absolutely.
The numbers it's a numbers game too. So just remember, you gotta be the character guy that colleges want. You want to be somebody they want, and it doesn't take on the field. It's just as much as off the field. Classroom, especially the classroom. Get that GPA up. And
Coach, speaking of that, since we're in the state of Georgia, speaking of that, every Georgia school, when they talk money, they're going to go ahead and take into consideration you're getting the Hope Scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
And they think if you don't get the Hope, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's academic money that you should be getting, and then they'll talk baseball money after that. So parents and players just know, unless you throw 105 miles an hour, if you're in the state of Georgia,
yeah.
they're not going to offer you what Hope would offer you, because that's something you can control with hard work. Now, look, we know everybody may not get it. I've known players that have actually gone to college and gotten it while they were in college. Mm-hmm. It's hard to keep, but that's something that, knowing that in 9th grade, parents, I'll tell you this, and kids, a lot of our kids realize it their 11th to 12th grade year, and they go, uh-oh, I need to raise my GPA. Well, it's hard to do that last year. You need to know this going into your 9th grade year, how important your GPA is. We deal with that every day with players and encouraging them that, we know it's not easy, but if you want to play at the next level, and that's something that you need to make sure you're taking care of.
Yeah, big time. Grades, big time. When you get a scholarship, when you get an offer, most of 90% of the colleges are expecting you to get that Hope Scholarship.
Right.
And basically what it's doing is really saving them money, and it's helping you out as well.
Right.
But that's what they go off. They're going off those grades, and there's a lot of schools that really you need a 3.0 just to even be
that's right.
at the school to be accepted. There's a lot of schools that they have a GPA requirement.
Absolutely.
So if you can't, it don't matter how good you are, if you don't have that certain GPA, they can't recruit you. So take that in consideration. That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And we deal with it a lot. So hit those grades, guys.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for everything you do for here at Complete Game, for us here at Complete Game, for the community and for the kids. You've been our director for several years now, and do a great job on the field and off the field, and we really appreciate you, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Oh yeah.
No problem. Appreciate it, man.
No problem.